What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I have a huge exposing video on the tweaker and creator known as FrameSync Labs. There's some absolutely undeniable proof in this video, like him stealing from over 20 different custom OSs and admitting to it, issues with his staff, issues with customers, lying about benchmarks and whatnot, and so much more. Now, before I get into all that, I just want to say I'm sorry I haven't uploaded in a bit. I've been very busy working on the new Lumen app, which will be dropping in the next few weeks, and I'm super excited. But anyway, I had to halt that so I could get this video out and respond to some of the drama that's been going on over the past month. Now, if you don't know who FSL is, he's a pretty big creator who reviews optimizations, posts free tweaks, has a custom OS, and paid optimizations, pretty much the whole spectrum of a tweaking community, right? We're going to be looking into one of the biggest issues first, which is stealing from all the different custom OSs with proof, like I mentioned. Now, I'm going to throw up a screenshot on the screen now. This registry is from FSOS, which is FrameSync's free playbook. Now, a playbook is basically a custom OS that applies on top of Windows, and they are completely open sourced, so you can see what all is going on in them. Now, my friend PrimeLaw looked into the registry for me for this video to see if FSOS was good, and he found this, which is an absolute smoking gun. Why is that? The reason why is this VainGovernor name right here. What VainGovernor is it's a application strict to the VainOS playbook. So unless you installed VainOS, you would never see this in your registry, and it would do absolutely nothing since it interacts with the Vain application. Somehow, some way, this ended up in FSOS, right? Which is a big no-no, because this basically means that he's stealing directly from Vain. And then we have a screenshot of him being questioned about it. He says FSOS is a collection of most tweaks from most playbooks plus older versions of FSOS, and this must have slipped in, fair call. So this guy responds as Control-C, Control-V, random registries, blah blah blah. FSL doubled down and says, last time I checked, open source even under GPL 3.0 can be reused for as long as it's kept open source. So he's basically saying since playbooks are open source, he can steal however he pleases. And then we have the next screenshot of him saying that he's done this with over 20 different custom OSs. That is absolutely insane. How are you? He said, but when you're combining 20 different OS into one and then going through everything to clean it up and make sure it works as it should, it happens. Which one of those is Vain? He's talking about the thing he forgot to clean up was Vain. So I don't know how you can admit to doing this and still be liked in the community. So that screenshot that you saw of the VainGovernor registry, I posted it in a Discord after PrimeLaw sent it to me, and word spread pretty fast. Ended up getting to the Vain owner, or one of them at least, named Flash. He went ahead to Twitter and said, nice FrameSync, you cannot even steal, you're legit walking clowns, don't buy anything from these idiots. And as I'm recording this, this has over 30k views and it's already getting a lot of traction. So just that one little screenshot that leaked out is already causing that much uproar, and that's what he was responding to. Now, since all this happened really recently, I want to dive back a little bit and show what's happened over the past month that's prompted this video and all the research leading up to that point. We'll also be going over the tweaks that FSOS uses and debunking them later in this video as well. Now, I want to show this screenshot first. This is the custom OS benchmarks, and the reason why this started some drama is I posted this screenshot in Lumen announcements because, it was a benchmark from somebody else. It looked really good for Lumen, and I thought it was good because people ask me for Lumen OS benchmarks all the time. So I posted this, and obviously FrameSync didn't like that. You can see here he was telling Cactus not to benchmark, without getting his approval first, basically. He should have had that conversation way before the results were publicly released, blah blah blah. And I think that's kind of insane, limiting your staff to not post benchmarks. But getting to my DMs with him, I basically was asking him why he's arguing fake benchmarks, and here you can see he said the problem is the Vain, FSOS, XOS, and Nova OS benchmarks being wrong, and that I was pulling words out of his mouth. Never said fake, I said wrong, and they are. So he was just being like very passive aggressive and, trying to say I was bending his words and all that, which I wasn't. And then we have a little bit after that, here was a screenshot from his staff chat, which I can't really say how I got this, but he was talking about me, his staff was talking about me, saying I have an ego and talking bad about my custom OBS. He said, guy felt the need to jump in my DMs asking why we are re-benchmarking things, like how is that any of your business? And then the cherry on top, his staff saying that he can't even install the custom OS without errors. That's nice. But, after that, we also have him asking Cactus to retest it. So he says, just test FSOS Comp X versus Lumen, whichtever version. And so he does that. You can see the benchmark here. The top one's Lumen, and it's obviously winning. And then we have the next screenshot where FSL's trying to say that one is an old run. We need fresh runs for both accurate results and the same methodology. And Cactus says these were taken just now. So once again, he's trying to not accept the fact that FSOS is performing that bad. Kind of insane once again. But anyway, moving on from that, we have his new video, which is just obviously fake benchmarks. You can see we have best OS overall for mid-range. LumenOS Pro is in the bottom 3. We have best OS for low end. You can see LumenOS down there again. And then we have high end PC, LumenOS being the worst. Keep in mind, Cactus said that LumenOS was one of the best, and that's his own staff. And I have a screenshot here saying that FSL did that. My benchmark is a spreadsheet, my own. So I asked Cactus, basically, did FSL do these benchmarks? And he said, yeah. So if this shows you anything, when FSL does the benchmarks himself, FSOS looks good. But when other people do them, they don't. If that doesn't raise any red flags, I don't know. And then you have another screenshot here of the interrupt latency, which I don't even know what he used to test this. Probably like LatencyMon or something obsolete. But you can see VainOS at 990. Like, that is absolutely ridiculous. This is unstable testing, and it's kind of ironic that he stole from Vain and then wants to show their OS being this bad in his video. But that video prompted me to make a response because I didn't want people to think that's how LumenOS actually performed, when I've only ever heard good things from my customers and people who benchmarked it. There was another video by the creator Shix Tweaks who benchmarked it, and it was in one of the top 2, and that was the version with MS Store and Xbox and Defender. So anyway, I really think those benchmarks in that video are fabricated to make FSOS look better. Who knows what this guy is willing to do to make his OS look good and get downloads. But anyway, let's move on to the next thing. So next up, we have some of the bad customer experiences. So here you can see one of his customers, and this is in FrameSync. He said, I'm writing to request a refund for the optimization session we did. This is my first time hiring a service rather than doing it myself, and the results have severely degraded my PC's performance. He said, before the service I was getting 450 to 500 mid-game, now I'm struggling to maintain 180 to 200. The mouse input is no longer snappy, it feels like floating, and like he basically wanted a refund. And then we have FrameSync's reply to it. He said, this is definitely unusual. Did you contact the optimizer directly? Realistically speaking, 200 FPS would be way too low, even with conflicting tweaks, which FSOS has none of. It might conflict if we worked on top of an already tweaked by UOS, which we did not. However, Valorant does have a few quirks that can indeed cause stutters and FPS drops, so I'm willing to work together to resolve this as soon as possible, as per the 30 days free support included in each plan. And then moving on from that, we have another one of my customers named Bill Osos, and you can see here I asked him, would you like to explain what happened at all and why you came to Lumen? And this was like an FSL customer who came here. He said, Yuki, I booked the XOC. He's one that did all the bio settings and the OC, which Yuki is one of the staff, right? Moving on to the next screenshot here, you can see him saying, I've actually booked 2 optimizations from them. First, I did it with Yuki. FSL did the OS. They said because I was having these stuttering issues and my warranty had expired, so they said they couldn't help me unless I got optimized again. So they gave him issues, and then his warranty expired, and they wouldn't retweak him, right? Like, they didn't even give a good tweak to begin with. And then here's the rest of the screenshot. He said, "Generally, until you told me, I had not a very good idea if I actually got scammed or not. It's been almost a year, so I don't really mind. At least I know better now. And with these things you've told me, I've got higher hopes for the new optimization session. I'm going to do the purchase now." So this was when he bought from Lumen and had a good experience, much better than FSL, right? Now, let's move on to some of the things that his staff has talked about and just staff stuff in general, the screenshots I have. So here we have Murphy, and he basically says he's a good person, but the way he runs things is very questionable. I don't have anything against the man himself. The engineers are fantastic people, but even they had no say anything. And then somebody replies, "Crazy how one wrong decision can ruin your career. Honestly, everyone copies though." And he said, "Yeah, but I guess they hide the fact they do." I just want to be very clear here. There's a difference between being involved in tweaking communities and doing research together, rather than copy and pasting somebody else's playbook and copying and pasting from 20 other different custom OSs. That's absolutely insane. And then another screenshot is from XDie here. He says, "I stopped doing stuff for them. I show him proof of a tweak, for example, IDA documents. He says, thanks, I'll add it later, keep in mind." And then a week later, he adds the same debug D word. So basically, XDie is an actual like researcher. You know, he knows what he's doing with documentation and IDA to reverse engineer tweaks. And he's telling FSL what he's using is bad, and FSL does not care. He just keeps adding the same thing. And yeah, I mean, that's some of the stuff his staff has said about him. Obviously, there's more here. I don't want to make this video an hour long, but it's just kind of insane to me that even now that the exposing is coming out, his own staff is going in Discord, switching up about him, saying that the things he does to run FSL is horrible. Now we're going to get into a big chunk of this video, which is talking about some of his tweaks. So this is with the help of PrimeLaw, who's one of my friends. He helped me look into all this FSL stuff, and he knows his tweaking research really well. He's very good at this kind of thing, so shout outs to him. And everything else he found will be included in this video. So anything I show from now on is found by PrimeLaw, and also he was the first one to expose the Vain Governor registry in FSOS. Anyway, the first thing we have is this registry right here, which is NoLazyMode. PrimeLaw says NoLazyMode causes increased latency, always on doesn't exist, and then the gamepad doesn't get used /ret. You can also see the system profile, tasks, games at the end there. That's what he's talking about with that latency sensitive D word. That completely doesn't exist and is basically obsolete according to PrimeLaw. And then he says this next tweak, IFEO tweaks like this are placebo. They have barely any effect on performance, let alone any, it's 0%. And yeah, I mean, this is absolutely insane. Like, this does nothing. You see this kind of thing in like Ryzen tweaks or like Aphrodite, like absolutely useless. Can't believe that he's putting that in his OS. Next thing we have is this TDR delay in the graphics drivers. TDR delay at 10 is useless. It has zero effect on performance as it's made for debugging, as TDR stands for timeout detection and recovery. So again, using a debug registry, doesn't even know what it does, but just throwing it in FSOS hoping for the best. Next thing we have is MouseDataQueueSize, which I'm sure a lot of you know this. I don't even need to really explain it. It's placebo. There's been whole videos made debunking this, but once again, I guess he's just lazy or he doesn't care, because that's in FSOS and his tweaks. And then we have this deep IO coalescing enabled registry dword. The default of it is 0, so this doesn't really even do anything. It's like setting something that's already set. You know, he's not changing anything. Not necessarily a bad tweak, but just kind of a dumb thing to do. The next thing we have is this registry right here, TaskbarSI, which is a deprecated in the new Windows versions registry key. It was deprecated in Windows 11 22621.1344 according to PrimeLaw. And then in the second screenshot, we can see this value MouseAccel, and there's no reg value named that, so this doesn't exist in the registry either. Next thing is some of the repeated tweaks. You can see there is drive encryption repeated, And for those who don't know, he repeats 2 of the same registry values in the same path twice, and it's like a backup. Like the control set 001 is like a backup of current control set. Any tweak applied there also gets applied to control set, so it's just a useless thing. Why are you applying it in both paths? It's like he doesn't know what he's doing and is just copy and pasting once again. And then we have another deprecated path. This registry has been deprecated since 2013 according to law. It's the registry HKLM software policies Microsoft Messenger client, and that's the one that's not used at all. And then the deprecated path is in it. This is also a deprecated path as Internet Explorer has been removed for a while. So again, not needed at all. Moving on, we have this useless tweak right here, power off frozen processors, and I'm going to throw up a screenshot now. This is an IDA of law reverse engineering it. Basically says this tweak does nothing, as you can see in IDA. If you don't understand, it's basically just not doing anything. It's not used in the code that law is looking at all, so it's completely useless. And then we have a pretty big batch of repeated tweaks here. They repeated so many tweaks, and it's absolutely insane. If I had to put an estimate, I would say there are roughly 50 plus duplicates, but that's being generous, and there's probably more. I'm going to just show up screenshots very fast. We're going to click through all of them. As you can see, like, there are so many of repeated registries. Like, this basically just feels like he's copy and pasting everything. And then lastly, to explain it, here's some of what Law said. Before I knew of him skidding and faking fabricating benchmarks, I tried to help him a bit, but he's too dumb to be helped in these screenshots. He shows how dumb he actually is and how stupid he is. So I'm gonna just throw them up now. You can read some of these. It's basically FSL saying, I'll have a look at those, thank you. Once again, this is what XDie said he does. When he's given proof, he just says, I'll have a look at that. And, here's the second screenshot with the documentation. He's asking Law about it. So you can see Law really does know what he's talking about with the documentation, and even FSL would admit that. He says, no worries, I understood it. I'll remove that, thank you. To be honest, it should have been removed long ago, but it slipped when I copied the 1.5 tweaks. So it seems like a lot of stuff is slipping through the cracks here when he's, trying to copy and paste the tweaks. Things aren't going well, right? But anyway, that is really all the proof I have. I just want to recap and go over everything, kind of my thoughts. I think that the stealing is very wrong. You can't just argue just because playbooks are open source that you can just go and steal from them and claim it as your custom OS. I really think that's a wrong thing to do, and I don't like those types of tweakers that do that in the tweaking community. With some of the tweaks that he's using, I think he's just copying and pasting a lot of stuff. He doesn't really know what he's doing, and that's why I would not trust the benchmarks that he puts out on YouTube or any of his services. I think that there are much better tweakers you can go to who actually know what they're doing. And that's not a diss to all of his staff, because there are some engineers in FSL who do know what they're doing, and I've helped exclude them from this video, and I've mainly targeted FSL for that purpose. I really didn't want to go after anyone besides him because he was the one being petty, but I just would not buy any FSL services. It's pretty much a scam. Everybody who I've heard has had bad experiences who's came to Lumen. There's people constantly complaining in his server about the tweaks, and they just will claim the warranty's expired or not help them. And there's so much more I could have covered in this video, but it's already a really lengthy video, and I just wanted to get this out for you guys. Now, I really thank you if you made it to the end for watching all of this. I know it was a long video, but hopefully it provides you some insight on FSL and the shady things that he was doing. And I hope you all have enjoyed. If you need any tweaks, you can always check out discord.gg/lumen. That'll be in the description as well. The new app is coming soon, and we have plenty of paid and free optimizations for all of you. Anyway, I'm going to go now, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and peace out.